Boom.
Yo,
Yo. We made it.
we did.
We did it. Welcome, everybody.
Sorry about the delay.
Yeah, it's delay. We got a delay pedal.
Okay.
Overuse of the delay pedal.
Does that mean we're gonna have an echo in here? Does that mean we're gonna have an echo in here?
You know,
Does that mean we're gonna have an echo in here? Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
We could totally do that with the interfaces we have. Actually, yeah, there's an echo function on there. There's a reverb function on there. I should get kicked off of Don't Worry Wednesday because I was mocking people.
What?
Yep.
Who are you mocking?
Apparently I was mocking cats.
Oh, well, that's okay. They're like,
I know.
Like,
what's wrong with that?
Banter thing.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, cats mocks me. Like, I get to mock them back.
I'm not sure if that's true, but I think that's when you turn the other cheek. But, whatever.
Oh, I got another cheek.
Don't get cheeky, man.
I'll turn a butt cheek, man.
Ooh. Oh, man. Oh, that's what he meant when he said turn the other cheek. I see.
Yeah, the other one. And that's probably what it could mean in scripture.
Yeah, good.
Turn the other cheek, like turn your backside to him and walk away.
Yeah. That's true.
Hey, it's all an interpretation, right?
I guess. No, not really, but if you want.
What if we've been interpreting this all wrong?
Yeah, well, then we're screwed.
Nobody said anything about cheek slapping.
Yeah.
They're talking about cheek turning. I can turn it.
Yeah.
You just can't see it because it's off camera right now.
Yeah. Well, you spin it right round.
Yeah.
Maybe right round.
And Kel, maybe you're right. Jesus wanted you to turn around and go, "Who's your daddy?"
That's right. So someone smacks you and you turn around and then say, "Who's your daddy?"
Who's
and
your
walk
daddy?
away.
Walk away.
Is that the correct moral stance on this issue? If someone mocks you,
who's your daddy? Honestly, I probably should be banned from Don't Worry Wednesday, but Ryan is way too nice.
Well, yeah. I think that goes both ways.
I did see part of, I watched part of your guys' last week afterwards. I just kind of checked it. I saw you guys all did great. All you guys that were on the show. It was great to see you guys on there joining in and everything. It was awesome. And I remember Ryan at the beginning said, "Okay, all you guys got to do is be angry." And I was like, yeah, reputation.
Reputation, that's right. Of course, it was a joke, but yeah.
Yep.
Joe's very wise.
Very wise. I'm experienced. I've got XP.
Oh yeah, well that counts for a lot.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because you go through a lot of experiences and some of them are really hard, right? And so then you're like, oof. And then you go through them and you come out the other side and you're like, holy cow, like I feel a lot more stronger and I'm not a lot more stronger. That's proper English. And I totally lost my train of thought now that I misspoke. But yeah, you kind of look at things a little bit differently, and it's just like, you know what? When something's bull, you call it bull. You know what I mean? A lot more strongerist. Yes. Well, anyway, welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show that we do on Wednesdays, and it's all about you guys, and we're so grateful for you guys in the chat, by the way. Thank you for being here. You guys are so awesome. And it's great to see you. It's great to hang out with you. It's great to banter back and forth with you. We just love you guys so much. And we like to do this show because, hey, life can be a little bit difficult sometimes. It can suck at points, and sometimes it's hard to figure out, and sometimes you go through stuff and it's confusing and it's overwhelming, and sometimes you just need to let it out. You need to put it out there somehow and maybe get a little bit of a different perspective than the one you currently have. And that's what we try to do on this show. And we try to make it fun. We try to make it enjoyable and funny sometimes. And, but mostly we just want to care about you guys. We want to love you. We want to help any way we possibly can. We are not professional therapists, counselors, or anything like that. We don't have legal degrees, so we're not, we can't give you legal counsel. We can't give you a whole lot of counsel in much of anything unless it comes to like music production and that type of a world, because that's what we do for a living. But one of the things I've noticed is that musicians generally tend to be a little bit emotional sometimes. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the over-emotional Ryan response. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see how emotional? I put all my emotion into that.
I know. You almost raised your eyebrow a little bit.
I'm pretty sure I got one of those hairs.
Yep. But so we've been through some stuff, and we've had some emotional times, and we've had some difficulties. We want to help in any way we can. We want to hear you guys out. We want to love you, and we want to offer you perspective and love and encouragement, because sometimes that's what we need. A lot of times you're smart enough to figure all this stuff out on your own, but it helps to have a friend. It helps to have people in your corner. It helps to have people that'll listen to you and validate your feelings, because sometimes you sit there and you're like, am I even feeling right? Sometimes you're in a situation where a person is telling you you shouldn't feel this way, but it's like, I do feel this way. Well, you shouldn't. And it's like, well, but I do. And it's like, no, the way you feel is the way you feel, and that's real. I'm sorry. Sometimes we get hurt. Sometimes things are confusing and it's crazy. But so anyway, if you have a topic you'd like us to cover, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. That is our website. Go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Click the submit a topic button and fill out the form. Hopefully we'll be getting that fixed. I haven't beta tested our form in a while. So, and I remember seeing a message come through at one point from somebody saying, like submitting a topic on mobile is a little bit difficult. Excuse me, but I don't know. We'll have to get back in there and check. I don't think I've gotten on that website in a while, except for just grabbing topics. Oh, Kel, it was you. Right on. Yeah. So hopefully we can get that figured out. It's not our fault. Well, it is our fault because
because everything's our fault.
Because it's our show, and so it's our responsibility to handle it, right? But it's a Microsoft thing. You'll DM us the deets. Hey, you can totally do that. Nice. And one of the things, I'll probably just jump in there and make some test topics or whatever, whether it's on computer and on mobile or whatever. We'll get in there and get to the bottom of it, and then we'll figure out what the problem is, and we will give Kyle a call, because he's the guy who understands Microsoft Teams. That's where all the form and all that stuff ends up going to our Microsoft Teams. So it's a weird thing between WordPress, Microsoft, and whatever, right? So we'll get it figured out. It's only a matter of time. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't let you see the form when you're typing. Oh, that's interesting.
I was just in there and I wasn't having any issues on it.
On
Cal,
mobile or
on a phone?
Were you on your computer?
I was on my computer.
Okay. I think Kel said it was mobile. So like that on the phone. It still works, but you don't know what you're typing. Like that can be incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. You could type it on a different document, copy, and then paste it in. But Geez, that's a yeah, no thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Still works, but yeah, mobile is the one that's yeah. Mm, Yep. Okay.
We'll figure it out as best we
Yeah.
can. We will,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll hopefully be able to get it fixed very, very soon. So anyway, welcome you guys. Thanks for being here. We love you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's great to be back. How are you guys doing in the chat? How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Doing really well. Very happy. Very I don't know. Life is enjoyable and exciting, and it's not always easy. It's not always fun, but um, you know, uh, I think perspective makes a big difference.
Hmm.
And if you take things as wins, even if they're losses, it feels pretty good. So I'm very I'm very happy, and life is going really great. I'm very very happy. Yeah.
Nice.
How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Uh, I had a great week last week. I wasn't here because I had my kids for the Thanksgiving holiday in the United States,
Yeah.
and I got to pick them up on Wednesday night, and we were hanging out, and doing kids stuff, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah. Here in
it was funny what I actually ended up doing. I had OBS open.
oh
When we were because my son had this great idea. So Wednesday, right? He comes over. He's like, "I got a great idea, Dad. We're gonna make a video." I'm like, "Okay." He says, "Yeah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna play Bendy and the Ink Machine and Bendy and the Dark Revival, which are like they're horror games, and we're gonna record this." And so he's like, I have to beat both games in the same amount of time as it takes you to beat one of them.
okay.
And I'm
That's
like,
fun.
all right, I win because I beat the game before he beat both of them. so, so, so I won. But yeah,
That's funny.
it was a lot of fun. We had a
That's
good
funny.
time.
That's
But
great.
but games like that frustrate me, man. Like it's a puzzle game
Mm.
with a bunch of jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, man, I just want to
Yeah.
shoot stuff. I want to play video games where I shoot things.
Yeah, because that's way way less terrifying.
I know. That's psychological thriller stuff, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, it was fun.
Wow.
But anyway,
That's fun.
a guy had his daughter play FNAF by jumping on the keyboard.
I'm guessing yeah, it was a baby, so that's funny.
Wow.
I
Wow.
could play CS:GO. Joe, have you ever played CS:GO?
I don't think so. That is that
Okay.
Counter-Strike?
Yeah, Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I have
But
Counter-Strike 2.
oh, okay.
I don't think I have CS:GO. I mostly play Overwatch, and my son's got me into Valorant, and then Fortnite, and then my youngest son is big into Rocket League now. He's really loving Rocket League. He's a gold, something or other, and competitive and stuff. So
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Fun.
it was a lot of fun. Do you trust me, son? Of course, Dad. Lesson number one: never trust anyone.
That's
Oh,
oh my.
that's good. All right. Well, what do you say we jump into some topics?
Let's do it.
All right. That's a great idea. I'm glad I thought of it. So, we got some topics. If you guys are here and you have a topic and you'd like us to cover it, let us know in the chat. If not, we do have some no preference topics here that we can do. And some of these I think were filler topics. Right? To do when we were running out
Yes.
of topics, just like little stuff to talk
Yeah.
about, like whatever.
Yep, for sure.
So what is this? What is this one? Ice? I mean, it is cold out now. Not for you.
Not for me. Well, it was a little cold yesterday, but the day before, because it rained a lot, but it wasn't icy. It
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
that cold.
we got snow on the ground, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
I bet you do.
It's great. And when it's like 24 and windy. Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad I'm in Australia. Yeah, I don't wanna deal with ice or
Yeah.
snow or anything cold.
All right. Well, we'll not do the ice topic then.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you're free to do the ice topic, but I'll just complain.
Well,
So,
I mean, the ice
I
topic
don't
just
complain
simply
that much.
it simply says ice.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
like is that a statement or a question or
Yeah. Well, my topic on ice would be very unrelatable to most people, so um,
I don't
that's not
know.
that great.
I know you don't like ice.
Yeah, I don't. It hurts. Very painful.
And you don't do snow? Oh, you're in California, so you don't have to do snow.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Outcats, the students were eating dirty snow. That's fantastic.
Yum.
Mmm. Are you sure that
You
was
need that
dirt?
silica. Could have been anything.
Could have been anything brown.
A bug. A bunch of little bugs.
Bugs. Yep.
Protein.
Oh, absolutely. Um,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Well, let's do this one called "Life Better Without." We'll start
Okay.
things. We'll start things off with this one. This is from anonymous, and sorry, brain fart. All right. So I'll put the topic up on the screen, and you guys can read along with me as I read it aloud. And here it is. What are the things that would make life better without? I'm guessing what that means is what kinds of things would life be better without? You know, what kinds of
Mm-hmm.
things could we do without in this
Yeah.
crazy existence
If
we
we didn't
call
have
life?
them in this world, it would be better.
Mm-hmm. And I know
Yeah.
ice is one of them, right? For
Yeah,
you?
well, for not really. I don't completely agree with that. I mean, I'm thankful for ice. I'm thankful for freezers and cold, the ability to keep food longer because you keep it cold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful that water turns into ice. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You can
it
skate on
it
it.
yeah. So I wouldn't include that on my list, even if it's painful.
Mm.
I wouldn't include it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and we can get some input from you guys in the chat too. I think this would be fun. So, what are some
Well, I'm
things
gonna
that you think?
start out
Yeah, go
with the
ahead.
best one.
I'll
So,
turn it over to you. You get us rolling here, Ryan.
oh, you don't. It's gonna be short. So
Well, I'm still putting you full screen.
go for it. God created all the creatures of the earth. Like, and they're all cool and they're good and they're beautiful, except for one. Um, that's the mosquito. The
Mm,
mosquito is the spawn of Satan.
mm,
Yeah, the mosquito is the spawn of Satan. And so I think we could do very well without the mosquito. I know people argue, oh, we need them because no, we don't. Those animals that eat the mosquitoes, they also eat other bugs, and the mosquitoes don't pollinate anything.
mm-hmm,
And the mosquitoes give us diseases and other animals diseases. And so, like, we really don't need them. And
mm-hmm.
if any other creature dies because we kill mosquitoes off, I'm willing, personally, I'm willing to
You're
let that
willing to
happen.
make that species
I'm willing to
extinct.
allow that to happen because mosquitoes are that bad. They're evil. All right, that's what I got. I mean, that's life would be better out without mosquitoes. I know
Yeah,
bats eat mosquitoes, but they also eat fruit flies and other bugs.
they
So
do.
it's okay. It's
That's
okay.
true.
I love bats. I love bats more than more than most people. And I'm happy that we have bats, but like we won't lose bats if we kill mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
Bats eat
It's not.
lots of other creatures.
I mean, Wolfrix has a good point. Mosquitoes are an important source of biomass in the food chain, serving as food for fish, as larvae for birds, bats, and frogs, as adult flies. Some species are important pollinators. Some species of mosquitoes are important pollinators. I mean,
I've never heard of mosquitoes as pollinators
I haven't heard of
because they
that
don't.
either. They spread diseases real good, like bosses. You know,
Yeah, they pollinate diseases.
they do.
Yeah. You know what though? Here's the thing. Yeah, they're important food sources for all of those creatures, but if there weren't mosquitoes, it'd be okay because there's also all sorts of other important food sources for those creatures because mosquitoes aren't the only bug that lives and breathes in water. There's a lot of them, actually, way
Hmm.
too many. If you've ever been, if you've ever been to, the Michigan in May and you've encountered the mayfly,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the literal billions of mayflies that breed and cover the ground so as like a thick carpet. Um, you'll know that there's plenty of bugs.
There
There are
are.
plenty of bugs for fish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
More than just mosquitoes. So I don't think that's a good argument.
Well, another bug I think we could probably do without is the botfly.
What's the bot fly?
Botflies lay
Does
their
it spread
eggs like
botulism?
well, so like a human botfly will lay their eggs under a human's skin, and then
Mm.
they hatch under your skin, and then their food source is your flesh until like that wherever they are erupts and they come out. You know.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yep.
That is pretty gross.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yes, leave the spiders alone. The spiders are great. And
Yeah, I agree.
Ryan, you're defending ecosystem collapse.
It's not gonna collapse if you kill the mosquitoes, I promise. It's
Yes,
not.
yes. And
There's so
Riku,
many
yes,
bugs.
Riku. This is exactly what Riku's talking about too. Something else would fill the hole they'd be leaving. Something else would be, it'd be
Yeah.
fine.
Like
You didn't need the information
if
about the botfly?
if ecosystems collapse because of one animal's extinction, we would have no animals right now because there have been, I mean, according to scientists, thousands and thousands and thousands of times that we've lost entire species of
Hmm.
animals. So I think we're all right.
The
I think
world
we're all
still
right.
continues. Our ecosystem
Hmm.
still continues.
Yeah, it changes, and
Hmm.
that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, it does work that way though. I promise you. We're here. We exist. We're okay. And we've lost dinosaurs. And
We
they're
did.
much bigger than
They
mosquitoes.
were much bigger.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Wolfric says, I still think life would be better without poor drivers, poor parkers, people who are too early to honk. Who's what? Too early? See too
Oh, so
early to
bad driving? We'd be better off without bad driving. I agree. That's actually good. That's actually even better than the mosquito one because I mean, I can't even, no one can argue that.
Yeah.
We'd be better off if there weren't any, and no one was a bad driver.
Yes. Well, and here's the thing, like bad driving can go in spurts. Like I'm sure all of us have been guilty of driving poorly at one point in time or another, whether we're tired
Oh, yeah.
or distracted or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like so
Mm-hmm.
but yes,
Yeah.
bad drivers. There's this really, really wealthy area nearby. And when I used to do inspections, I used to like one of the big jokes I used to have about this area was like, this is a place that's living proof that having a really nice car does not make you a good driver. Because there were so
Oh.
many crummy drivers that had really nice cars. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, stop it.
I've never heard that if you have a nice car, you're a nice driver.
Well, I just proved it.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
There's proof out
Drugs
there.
and nuclear weapons. That's an
Ooh.
interesting one. I think, well, here's the thing. Maybe you could alter the drug ones to say you couldn't abuse any drugs because drugs obviously are useful when we're talking about medicine
Hmm.
or, you know,
Well, a lot
even
of the
some forms of recreation aren't evil.
mhm.
But like, when you abuse them and you mess yourself up or you mess other people up, then yeah, that's rough. So like, I can agree. If there wasn't an ability to abuse drugs, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm like, I wish. Well, to some degree, it's a good thing though. Even though, like, because if I don't know, it's like if you get high, I'd say you in that scenario you could no longer get high because there would have to be like constraints.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, because if you can get high, that means you could just be high forever without any issues. But the truth is, that is not the highest. That there's issue in that because then you're not your best self because you can't fully control yourself when you're high.
Right.
So it's like, so then drugs would just not be able to get you high or anything.
Right. Or just moderate, right? I mean, even in scripture,
Sure.
there's admonition against getting drunk, and you can apply that same sentiment to drugs that
Yeah.
mess you up, where you lose your sense of judgment and you're just like messed up and out there
Mm.
and whatever, right? But moderately, the same scripture talks about how, wine gladdens the heart,
Mm.
you know, and that like to that level, it can be a good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, by the same token, I mean, overeating would probably be bad because then you get food coma and you're just like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. A natural high. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
don't need drugs to get high sometimes. Sometimes you just need sleep deprivation.
It's true. Sleep
Is that
deprivation,
is that that
oxygen deprivation, uh,
is that an overabundance of
sleep deprivation.
So yeah, deprivation is actually just an overabundance of awakeness.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm. Well, we have
Sometimes you
chemicals in
just
our
need to be
bodies that make us
bipolar.
high,
Okay.
like serotonin, dopamine. These types of
Mm-hmm.
things give us a
Yeah.
feeling of high, adrenaline. These
Oh
things
yeah,
that
for
that
sure.
naturally occur in our body based on experiences that we have can cause us to feel a high. I ride on a roller coaster, and
Oh
I
yeah.
and I get a high from that. Right? Like I'm just like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have an
Man, I haven't been
argument
on a
with
roller
a
coaster
with a
forever.
band teacher or something, and I get like a
Yeah.
rush from that. Like,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. For
wait,
sure.
sometimes you just need to be bipolar. I mean, sure, why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
I guess.
interestingly enough, there are drugs that people use recreationally that other people with certain conditions, like find them extremely useful. That depending on whatever condition that you have, some of those drugs, you know, work very, very well. I think that's kind of what you started
Yeah.
with, right?
Mhm. Ooh. Live without lying. Mm. If we are unable to tell lies, man, that would be good.
Mm.
That's an interesting one though. Like,
Everybody would have real thick skin though, because like then it's like,
yeah.
like if you're married and your spouse says, "Hey, does my butt look big in this dress?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then what do
And
what
then
and if it does,
you say no,
do you
then
just bluntly say, "Psh, yeah, your butt
wait, I'm
looks
confused.
huge in that
Isn't
dress."
it a compliment either way?
Well, I guess you could make it a compliment. You'd be like, "Yeah, your butt looks big in that dress, and I love it. Turn that
Yeah,
other
right?
cheek."
Yeah, turn that other cheek. It's a compliment either way because like okay, it's a compliment in the sense that like okay, they got you looking at their butt. That's a compliment
Mm,
because now
mm-hmm,
you're looking at their butt,
mm,
right?
mm-hmm,
It's your wife, right? So it's like you're looking at their butt. That's a good thing.
mm-hmm.
Secondly, I mean, not in an objective way where you're making them an object, but to some degree, it's like, hey, you know, I fancy that butt. That looks great.
I
And
fancy
then
that.
like if it looks small in that dress, then that's good. It's like, yeah, you don't look overweight. That's great. Don't look overweight. If but they might be searching for like I want my butt to look big because that's what I find it, I want that attractive big
Yeah,
butt.
right.
And I cannot lie, right? Because people can't lie, so they can't deny that. And so, and so, it's like, yeah, your butt looks big in that dress, and it's like awesome. I don't see
Yeah.
how it's not a compliment in either direction.
Okay.
I'm not taking a stance on this, by the way.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
butt job incoming.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes you have to use discretion, right? So,
Hmm.
like, because some things, I mean, you can't just be like open and blunt about everything,
Hmm.
or else, well, I guess the problem is then, see, if nobody had any ill will toward anyone, you would never have to keep any secrets.
Yeah, right. But if someone does, then it's like, okay, so a dude comes up to you, and the classic argument is like, or the classic scenario is like, someone comes up to you and it's like, um, blah, 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 where did they run? I want to kill them, you know? And
Mm,
it's like, do you lie and tell them that they went a different direction so you can save the person? Or do you tell the truth and that person dies? And that scenario is always silly to me because it's like, well, you just don't, you can literally be like, I'm not telling you.
mm-hmm,
And then the person's like, well, then you die. And it's like, well, that's fine. But I'm not, like, I'm not at fault here,
mm,
you know? So, yeah, I don't think that there's any, if you could not lie, yes, people would have to have tough skin. But I think then people would have tougher skin because they would experience that.
mm-hmm,
I think that there's beauty in the ability to lie, of course, because it also means you have the ability to tell the truth when things are hard
mm,
and scary for you. When you have to humble yourself, when you have to um, be courageous to
mm-hmm,
tell the truth. And I think um, being able to lie facilitates the beauty in having the opportunity to tell the truth as well. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Hmm.
So evil is good because it gives you the choice to do good instead of evil. So that makes evil
Right.
a good.
Get to some degree. Yeah. To
Because
some degree.
it
I
provides you
wouldn't
with a
say
choice.
evil. It's, yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, we're gonna get highly
Especially when you,
philosophical.
yeah, especially when you have the temptation like to do wrong and you choose to do the right thing. Like that's beauty. That's huge, right? So, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, free will, right? Yeah.
Cats, that's very, very specific. I'm wondering if you have experience in this area. I feel a better example would be me telling a customer, "Hey, you smell awful," and I'm trying to stop myself from gagging right now. Several.
Yeah, it's like people would have to have a very tough skin to take that. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Even if you have to tell the truth, you don't necessarily have to tell everything that's on your mind.
That's
So,
true.
like, it's like you couldn't lie, but you could still refrain from telling them everything that you think,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, yeah. And if they say, like, do I smell okay? I suppose implicit within your response being like, I'm not telling you, is it's gonna be like, okay, I need to fix that
It's
then,
like,
huh?
yes, you
Yeah,
just
you
said,
do.
just like you can tell the answer in how long it takes
Yeah.
somebody to answer sometimes. Just like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes. Oh,
Oh, super neon
hey,
blue. Okay.
super
Cool.
neon blue.
Mm-hmm.
And Kawhi, you have a great point. Thing is an object, so technically lie does not fit the topic description because is a lie an object?
Oh, well, lying is a thing you can do.
It's an action you can take.
It's an action you can take. Humans, sorry, humans, English language gives thing status to actions, which is weird
Mm.
because you're right. It's not a noun, but it is an action, but we call actions things.
Mm-hmm.
Like do something. It doesn't mean do some object, it means do an action. That's super weird. English is weird.
Sorry. Are you saying anime
A lot isn't
conventions
easy.
are stanky?
Oh man. Well, they sure can be.
I'm
They sure can be.
I imagine they could be.
I can attest. I can attest.
I mean,
Yeah.
because you got a whole bunch of like half naked people running around.
No, not quite that reason, though that's not necessarily wrong. It's more like, when you like, when you're like a teenager and you haven't figured out deodorant exists yet?
Yeah,
Yeah. And then like the convention is like at least 30% those people.
sure.
And you're just like, fair enough. It smells in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is legitimately a thing.
All right.
But not always.
I've
I've been to
only.
conventions that don't smell.
That's true. They all smell like something. Anytime you have a bunch of people and congregated in an area,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people can stink, man.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is one
Mm-hmm.
fart
That's true. Or one smelly armpit.
or one smelly
It's
armpit.
this is really weird. I don't know if it's I think just for the teaching lesson and the science, this is really fascinating. So, um, one time there was this person that was really stinky that I was sitting next to in the car for a very long time. And for the next month, my left armpit stunk really bad, but my right armpit did not.
Just that
Because
because of
in my left
proximity to
armpit,
that person.
yeah, and my left armpit smelled like them. My right armpit smelled like me.
So you
And I
like
was
picked up
like, yeah,
some of
that's
their.
right. Yeah, because it's bacteria that smells.
Mm-hmm.
And the bacteria had, from them, floated into the air and infected my armpit.
Yeah.
And I literally tried so many things to get rid of it. So many different deodorants, so many different like soaps and smells. And then what finally worked was to put antibacterial cream on it and let it sit there for like several hours and then wash it off and then do it again. And then it was gone forever.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, their microbiome. Yeah, exactly. They migrated to my armpit. And so I was just like, that is so bizarre. And I'm using it only as a teaching fact, but we could probably do without stinky. Well, actually, no, that's useful. To be able to smell bacteria is really useful because it tells us like when food is rotten and we shouldn't eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah, things like that.
That's true.
Shave it. Yeah, but it was infected within the skin. So it's not just the hairs.
Wait, shaving
So it
makes
was
your
rough.
armpits less hygienic?
Yeah, I don't Cal, expand upon that if you know why that's the case.
I mean, I
I'm
guess
not
hair
saying it's
can
not. I just
trap
don't know
hair
anything
can
about it.
trap things, and so it can stop them from getting into your skin. And because of little cuts, yeah, I can see that. Maybe. I don't know. I guess my head's probably very non-hygienic,
Ooh,
but it's
but
beautiful.
it's silky smooth.
Mm. And I'll take beauty over
Absolutely.
hygiene.
That's right. Because what is hygiene for, anyways?
I know.
Beauty.
I never see people in real life anyway. You all see me on screen. Like I gotta be beautiful.
Hmm. That's right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter how you stank.
Mm-hmm. Oh my. Yes. Well, so I guess somebody said, "What did I just what is this episode?"
What did I walk into? Yeah.
Cal, yes, Cal.
Your head is not an armpit.
Thank heavens my
Ooh.
head is not an armpit. Man,
Yeah,
oh man.
thankful.
And thank heavens it's not stuck in an armpit.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of weird. It's like, why do we have hair in our armpits? Hmm.
I didn't see your message about needing lice and fleas. Maybe I missed it.
They don't tickle? That's hilarious.
What?
Interesting that our hairs under our armpits don't tickle. Yeah, that is funny.
That's
That is
true.
interesting.
But man, oh man, when you shave your armpits with an electric razor, it sure does itch for like a week.
Oh, I've never done that. I'm not enjoying thinking about this.
I was a swimmer,
Yeah.
so we would shave like everything, right? And so like, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we got this great idea. We're like, we won't get as many cuts if we use electric razors.
Oh,
And that was big mistake. Big mistake. Yes, it was horrible. Sorry. Anyway,
yeah, fair enough.
welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, where we talk about craziness, right? Like, but I'm
Yeah,
glad.
really weird topic.
This is Brazilian
Yeah.
wax it. I don't have ever an intention of waxing any part
Have
of my
you-
body. I don't think.
Have you ever even met a Brazilian?
Yes, not. Yes, I
Oh.
have actually.
Okay.
My favorite
Well, there you
character in
go.
Overwatch is Brazilian.
You didn't meet them.
No, that's a separate statement.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know any Brazilians? Yeah, actually, my imaginary friend that I just made up right now is Brazilian
Yes,
in their lore.
they're made of wax, so they Brazilian
They're made of
wax
wax.
personified.
So yeah. That's right. Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, and you're right, Soli. The topic, it's not the topic that's weird. It's the
answer's
the
gotten weird.
answer.
Yeah,
Yes,
you're right.
Yep.
Okay, so back on topic. What other things? I saw someone say misogyny, which is fair.
Mhm.
We could do without some of that.
Abuse.
Abuse, yeah, we could do without that.
Mm-hmm. Lice and fleas.
There are a number of sinful things I could come up with, including things of the visual aspect that pleases us in erotic ways.
Mm-hmm. There are lots of things.
Yeah, there are a lot of things. Yeah.
Well, we humans,
Yep.
man,
Yep.
we come up with all kinds
We
of
invent
great
all
stuff.
sorts of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All kinds of crazy, man. I'll tell you what. But
But we're capable of so much. As much evil as we're capable of. I mean, we're also capable of an incredible amount of good.
mhm.
We're talking about mosquitoes, and I don't actually want to eradicate all the mosquitoes from the world. It's not my mission. But it's amazing how many animals we have helped keep in existence once we realize that they're going out of existence. Despite, yes, unfortunately causing the extinction of some as well. It's incredible. We have way more forests and trees and plant life than like just 100 years ago, 200 years ago. And like literally ever on this earth. We have more plant life now than we've ever had on the earth. And it's just like that we can recall, obviously. We don't have a perfect estimate, but we can look. I mean, the scientists can look at the turf and see like what's going on with it and depict and figure these things out. But according to a statement that I heard, we have more plant life on Earth than ever, and that's like thanks to humans primarily. So as much as we've caused deforestation and things like that, which have been terrible to some degree, it's also awesome how much good we've learned from our mistakes and have turned it around. Yeah.
Yep. Well, and you can't blame somebody for their ignorance when they don't know any better. It's just like, hey, this would be a great idea. We should do this. And then, you start to see the effects of it, 20 years later, and you're like, oh, that was actually a really bad idea now that we know what it caused.
Mm-hmm.
But there is redemption, right? Like you were just talking about, we deforested for all kinds of different reasons. And then, we started to notice that was a problem. And so like people start, fixing the problem. And it's awesome that,
Yeah.
you know, we're kind of built that way. We'd love to be in perfect coexistent harmony with the earth, but we don't generally tend to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. We sure have given it plenty of CO2 to breathe. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome.
Really, the fruit orange was made by humans?
Mix a tangerine and something else. Yeah, I've
Huh.
heard of that. And wait, and and the what is it? The grapefruit as well. We created grapefruit.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard of corn, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Oh
created
yeah.
corn.
There's all, and
Um,
they have new kinds of corn
yeah.
coming out all the time. Like still, new different hybrids of all kinds of different stuff. Some of them are really
Mm-hmm.
sweet. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
are really, I don't know. It's crazy. My dad loves corn and he grows corn in his garden, and so he's always researching to find what's gonna taste the best, what's gonna do the best, what's gonna
Yeah.
grow the best,
Yeah.
and now he's got things like figured out so he can have like stuff that gets big early, so he can have corn
Oh.
on the cob for longer throughout the summer. Stuff that
Yeah.
like so he has like
I
a few
remember
different
being at your
breeds.
house and shucking some corn and having that fresh corn. That's
Oh yeah,
awesome, man.
man. Yep. He's got gardening down.
Mm-hmm.
He gardens so well. It's amazing. Tons of types of
Yeah.
peppers. Yep, you bet.
Oh man, I love peppers. Peppers are my favorite fruit of all time.
I think that's a
They just
vegetable. Is it a vegetable
can't
or a
conquer.
fruit?
Peppers?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Are tomatoes a vegetable or a fruit?
Tomatoes are fruits.
Okay. Technically, they're both, but tomatoes and peppers are in the same family. Look
Okay.
at them. I mean, like literally, it's just that same skin on the outside, and
Hmm.
inside is all the fleshy
Seeds are
stuff. The only
inside.
difference is tomatoes filled with a ton of acid water, and peppers aren't.
Acid
And
water.
then, of course, they taste different. Yeah, but yeah,
Hmm.
they're fruits.
Hmm. All right. Learn something
Hmm.
new every day. Just had to do Don't Worry Wednesday, and then I learned new stuff. It's great.
That is right. We learned so much.
Hmm. Nice. All right. Tomatoes, eggplants, peppers. All those are fruits, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So then is a
Cucumbers.
cucumber a fruit?
Yeah, cucumber's a fruit. It's a type of melon. In fact, all the
Interesting.
melons are actually under the cucumber. I can't remember the class. The scientific name for it looks literally like it's saying cucumber,
Huh.
cucumbria or something like that. I can't remember. Someone can look it up. But yeah, and melons are actually berries.
Wow.
It's ridiculous the way we categorize things.
Isn't it? I don't know. Peanuts are not nuts. They're legumes. They're beans,
Yeah,
basically.
that's right.
Like,
And beans are fruits.
uh-huh. Crazy. Crazy,
It's
crazy.
ridiculous. Yeah, see, now, Wolfrix, you are right. A vegetable in its most basic form is an edible portion of a plant. The problem is fruit is an edible portion of the plant. So all fruits are vegetables. And
Yes, so
sugar is a vegetable.
fruit is the fleshy or dry ripened ovary of a flowering plant enclosing the seed or seeds.
Bananas are banana trees are grass? Are you kidding me? I love that. Does that
Corn
mean we
corn
can
is actually grass. It's a type
Yes,
of
what I was about
grass.
to say. Can we make banana corn? Can we fuse banana and corn together? I need that to happen.
I would give that to my brother cuz he hates bananas.
Does he hate corn?
No. Loves
Oh,
corn.
well, you had to find
But if
someone
we
who hates banana and corn.
combine the banana and the corn and we make something it'd be cool to see if he would like it or not, right? Like
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're that similar, right? Yeah, I know. I know they're not that similar, but still. I want to see people breed things together and get weird things. I want to see
right?
banana corns.
Well, that's yeah.
Man,
For like 3 months of my life, I wanted to be a genetic engineer because I thought that would be a cool idea to just like
that's-
take weird stuff and make weird combinations, like a
yeah.
cat corn.
Okay.
Can
Cat
you
is not
breed
a
an
type of
animal
grass.
and a plant?
Even in Pokemon, a cat is not a grass type.
No. Oh, all right. Yeah. So breed a plant and an animal.
Wheat and rye. That's yum.
Take their
I like
genetics
rye.
and make
I like
something
wheat.
really, really weird and off the wall.
It is. It is. Riku, is it really? Oh my gosh. There
Sprig.
is an actual grass type Pokemon that is a cat. You're kidding. You're kidding. That's hilarious. Okay, well, there you go, Joe. Maybe you can breed corn and cat
In the world of Pokemon,
in the world of Pokemon.
yes, it's great.
That's hilarious.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, we've been on
Well,
this
we've
topic for a
certainly
while.
covered that.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
did good.
I didn't expect to be on
That
this
was
topic for
fun.
that long.
Yeah, that was good though. I like that. But yeah, let's move on to a different one. What do you say?
Yeah, that's
Um,
great. Let's do it.
all right. So I'll just go next in line. We have one from a what was this? Convince me to move out of my parents' house. That's the name of the person.
What? That must have been an accident.
Or maybe it's not. Maybe that's their way of staying anonymous.
Fair enough.
So yep. So but okay. So and then we have move. It's called moving on and leaving behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's this topic's been sitting here for a while. So
Yeah.
let's do that one. What do you say?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you guys. Man, you guys are so awesome. Thank you for all your input on this topic. It's a lot of fun when we get to, go back and forth with you guys, and I love it. So
Yeah.
let's see if we can keep that going. I love you guys' input. So, but we'll move on to this one. This is called Moving On and Leaving Behind. And I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can read along while I read it aloud. It reads as follows. Specs, mid upper 20s. Finances, good. Excuses, fave geriatric dog. Expected time commitment to parents, even if I move out, short term, 6 to 12 months post move. Rent, stupid.
Fair.
When doggo passes, I want to jump ship ASAP, but it's so scary. Not looking forward to coming to an empty dwelling. Also, people age so quick when you don't see them day to day. Intuition says it's the right move, elusive personal growth, blah, blah, but I'm scaredy cat. P.S. Name field does not work on your form. Okay. That must have been
Oh,
one of
that was a while ago.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was an issue there. Okay. So, yes, whoever you are, thank you so much for the topic. And
Yeah.
this is
Want to
definitely
tell us
something
who
we
you
can
are?
talk about.
Don't worry about it.
What's that?
I said, if you're here and you want to tell us who you are, feel free to. If you don't want to out yourself, that's totally fine too.
Mm-hmm.
We don't mind taking this as anonymous.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, moving out is definitely it can be a scary endeavor. It's I remember when I was first, man, I couldn't wait to get out of here when I was like turning 18. I was like, man, I've been living in this town. I can't stand it. I grew up in a small town, small farming community. There was barely anything to do. And, so you develop all kinds of bad habits and, stuff like that. And I wanted to be a musician. And back at that time, the internet wasn't as prevalent. And so, you didn't have the same opportunity that you do now as a musician. You can be anywhere and, like work, from home, make music, start a YouTube channel, release stuff to Spotify on your own, find a company called BSS and release your music through them, yada, yada, yada. We didn't have the same opportunities that there are available now. And so it was like, I want to get out of here. I want to go somewhere far away, and so I was excited to get out and be on my own, or at least get out and be with friends, right? Um, So when I first moved, I went to college and lived in a dorm, and then I lived in a house with four other guys, and and that was fun. And then I lived in a house with two other guys, and that was fun too. And we had a lot of fun times, and I don't know, like I was glad to move out. Now housing now has absolutely skyrocketed since then. I know the costs
Mm-hmm.
of rent and mortgages. I know houses are just ridiculously expensive now. Um, that will probably cycle, hopefully, and prices generally tend to cycle around whether they go up and then they go down, and depending on what's going on in the economy. But I do know that right now is definitely it's a seller's market as far as houses are concerned, because like you can put your house up for sale or a car or whatever, and they're so high in demand, they're going to sell like super fast, and you're going to get more than your asking price. Like it can get it's crazy, but for someone who's looking to buy a house, that can be very, very daunting, because then everything is more expensive. And I know that food has gone up, all kinds of stuff as far as living expenses have definitely gone up over the recent couple years. Um, but so it can be a scary thing, especially if you're planning on living alone, which is why, like when I first
Mm-hmm.
moved out, I found some friends that I could move into a house with. I've lived the only times I've ever lived in an apartment, I've lived by myself, which is interesting. But anytime I didn't live in an apartment until, geez, well, I was 29, because I've always been 29.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But yeah,
Hard
I've
to tell dates.
But yeah, Super Neon Blue.
Awesome.
I agree with you. Moving on your own is so exciting and freeing. I agree. I
Mm-hmm.
know that feeling
Definitely.
when I could go somewhere. And I remember when I moved, when I finally got the job that moved me to Traverse City, Michigan. I was so excited because I love that area. It's so beautiful. There are beaches everywhere and sand dunes, and it's gorgeous. And I had a job that was there waiting for me that was going to pay enough to pay for me to live in an apartment by myself, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was so great. I remember going up there and like taking some time, a couple days to go up, stay in a hotel, and do some shopping around for apartments and stuff like that. Um, and just driving around the area and visiting some of the places that I was going to get to go to every day after work, because it's like a 5 minute drive to some of the most gorgeous places. And I was like, oh, this is just great. But I understand that sometimes we have family connections that are really, really strong, and they can stop us from moving, or they can make it really uncomfortable to move. And sometimes it's really scary to move. I'm gonna call you anonymous because I don't have a name for you. But anonymous, I understand your fear, especially if it's the first time moving out. But if I were you, what I would try to do is try and wrap my head around the adventure that's possible in all of this. If you said you're in your mid to upper 20s, your finances are good, so this could be good. And then moving could be it's a great adventure. And if you're not going to be super stressed about money because your finances are good, then I would try and flip my thinking around a little bit and start to ask the questions. How could this be good? How could this be an adventure? How could this be something that I could enjoy and explore and get to know a new area? Because what we focus on in our mind is generally creates how we feel in a lot of cases. We can look at something a certain way and it makes us feel horrible. And we can look at the same thing in a different way and we feel great about it, or at least neutral, right? So I would encourage you to do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and see what he has to say about this topic. So, Ryan, take it away, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it my best. I second or third, I suppose, at this point, what Nyan said as far as moving out on your own or being on your own. I know that it is scary, but it's also incredibly, um, I- I'll use the word vitalizing. It's exciting and it's freeing to be able to, it's like imagine you're in, it's like you're on your own and you're like, hey, I want to go to the convenience store and go shopping. Like I want to go do this or that. It's like you can just do it and you don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to feel weird or report to anybody. You don't have to be like, "Hey, I'm going out," and then explain why you're going out. You can literally just be like, "Hey, I want to go shopping." And then you get your stuff and you go shopping and you're just like, "Wow, that was cool," you know? Um there's a sense of freedom of not having to be under anybody's, like, you don't have to do things that appease other people. Not everything you do has to appease the people around you because you're just looking after yourself. And that's a great place to be. Now, am I saying it's bad to appease other people? No, of course not. Am I saying it's bad to be in a scenario where there's other people around you that you have to be mindful of? Of course not. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. But my point is, if you're afraid of moving out alone, there's a great amount of joy and freedom that will accompany you and sort of help you make you your own person. Um, and why that is valuable is that later when you do end up in a situation when you're with people that you have to be mindful of, you have an interior strength that moves you forward. That says, like, I'm my own person. I know that what I'm doing is right. I don't have to worry about stepping on people's toes. I can just do whatever I want to do and not feel like you're stepping on eggshells all the time and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it all comes from the matter of like having the experience of commanding yourself without
Mm-hmm.
anybody else telling you how to command yourself, without
Mm-hmm.
having to worry about how other people are going to feel about how you commanded yourself, right? Because it's it's not their deal anyways, but people make it their deal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it does impact them. How you handle yourself impacts them when you're interacting with them, or you're using their money or whatever it is, right? Um, but still, I think if you find time to be out on your own, you will be really thankful for that experience. Um, and it's a very, as long as you make it so, it's a very joyful and fun experience.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, and you pointed to this in the topic, but like I know multiple people who moved out of their house and their whole mind frame was then able to switch over to be a happier person, to be
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm gonna tell a story. I hope it's not, well, okay. I'll tell the story, but instead of using the person's name or who they are, I just won't mention. But I know someone who their mom was, they basically treated them like they were, I think it's Cinderella. And by that I mean they had to do all the chores and so on and so forth. Like
Mm-hmm.
their mom didn't clean the house. Their dad was out of there. So their mom was like, "No, you clean the house." And so this person cleaned the house. This person helped cook the food. This person like did everything at the home. And their mom just kind of sat around and did drugs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so that was, and then, then their mom had the ability to just like always complain about them and say mean things to them and so on and so forth. Very, very terrible environment. And then they went to college and they got a dorm room with just different different people,
Mm-hmm.
right? That they had to live with. I think they might have even been on their own in their own dorm room, potentially. But they were surrounded by people because they're at a college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was only like the matter of like weeks, and things were already completely different in their head. and then months went by and it was like a lot of these anxiety problems that they had lived with for years and years and years. A lot of these depression problems that they had lived with, and these self-hatred problems, and um, just so many different problems that were mental started to just fade away um, because of their environment, because they were no longer subject to someone else's thinking, and they no longer had to perform every action with that person in mind and how not to step on their toes or how
Mm.
not to rile them up to make their own life worse,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so yeah, environment is a huge factor. It is one of the biggest factors in mental health, I would say. And I think it goes completely ignored. I mean, a lot of times when we talk about mental health, we talk about what you can do inside to get right here, regardless of what's going on around you, so that you can maintain peace in here while the world around you crumbles. And it's like, yeah, that goes a really far way and that's important. But at the same time, one of like the main cause of mental health issues is your environment and
Mm.
how you've adapted to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, because your environment impacts your habits, your environment impacts how you think daily, how you have to operate. And so, to solve those problems, you sometimes develop really bad mental habits, or they impact you and make you think like them, whatever it is, right? And so, environment plays a huge role. And so, to if you have the opportunity, if anybody has the opportunity to make their environment better for themselves, I would say you should take that up. You should always take up the opportunity to make things better, especially if it's your environment.
Mm.
Because here's the thing, if you change your environment and you feel like you're getting healthier, what does that allow you to do? It allows you to do more. Like, if you're sick, physically sick and ill, and you're kind of stuck in bed, you feel like you can't do anything, right? You're not helping much. You're not helping out. And that's okay. It's okay to be there. Sometimes you just end up there, right? It's not your
Mm-hmm.
fault. But if you have the opportunity to get well and get better by, whatever it is, taking medicine or, just resting or whatever it is, right? And you do so, then what happens once you get out of that place of physical sickness? Well, suddenly you have your whole body to control and you can do a lot of good in the world because you have a healthy body. The same thing can be said about your mental health. If you can remove yourself from your environment that is causing you mental harm, basically making you mentally ill,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the sense that like you can't perform at your best because your spirits aren't at their best. Your your hopes and your desires and your self-awareness, all of those things are diminished, right? If you remove yourself from that and you get yourself in a better environment where you can have mental health, like you're mentally healthy because it has the ability and like foundation to be fostered and grown and like nourished, right? And you get into that environment and you grow. Now, what are you capable of? All those things that you're capable of when you have a healthy mind, like, which is a lot. Because when you're depressed, you feel like doing nothing and you
Mm.
do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are excited about life, you get out there into life and you do stuff, right? And so
Yeah.
how many more people can you be helping live a happier life if you just go change your environment right now? You don't know how many people, but it's a lot. It's everyone around you in your friend group. It's your family included. In fact, I've heard so many stories and have witnessed them myself of people leaving their parents who were toxic for several years. And for some reason, when they come back to their parents years later, their parents are like, oh, yeah, we're not toxic anymore. It's like, what happened? Why? It's it's because people get stuck in their cycles and they need to be freed from them. If you remove yourself from an environment, sometimes that environment can finally change because you're no longer there. And it's not like you were causing it. It's simply that people don't want to change. But if something changes for them, they're given the chance to change. And it's like, if you've done people wrong before, you have a reputation to kind of keep that under wraps, and you do it in really unhealthy ways. I'm not saying you, but I've seen people do that, right? People get stuck in their place.
Mm-hmm.
People get stuck in their reputation. People get stuck in the way they talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a family that can't say I love you to each other, right?
Mm.
And it's like the first time someone breaks that, it's just like weird and awkward and it's not going to go anywhere. But if you leave that family and you come back later, now that reputation of like, oh, we don't say I love you, you know, it's too vulnerable. It's like that stuff goes away because you've unlocked something, because your place in that environment was keeping things in a lock. But you remove part of it and now all of a sudden things start to fall apart, which means they're no longer have to be locked in place and they can move forward.
Mm.
So what I'm saying is I'm trying to encourage you, of course, because that's what you asked. Moving out doesn't just help you, it also helps the people you know and love. It helps your family have an opportunity to be an opportunity to change. And for those habitual or social norms that they act on that are toxic, it allows them to stop doing that towards you, which helps break down the toxicity and allow them to change because they don't have a person that they're upholding this toxic situation with. This, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to say that are better, but I think you get my point. And so I would say, look, if you really need to move out, or if you feel like you should move out for mental health, for physical health, for any of these things, I think it's worth it. I mean, you've been in this situation for years and years and years and years. Don't expect things to change unless you change something
Mm.
about your world. And so I think you have all the reason because everything is positive. If you move, yes, obviously it's like, yeah, rent is annoying. You have a dog you might leave behind. Okay, that's okay. It's worth it. Because the amount of positives absolutely outweigh the negatives or the worries or the anxiety. I know, understand when you're anxious, when you're scared, it's hard to move. But we all know generally the only way to conquer fear is to engage in the activity which you are fearing. Like if you read about spiders, if you're afraid of spiders, but you take if you have an open mind to saying, I want to get over this, and you read about them extensively, you'll find yourself not really being afraid of spiders anymore. You might have a sense of irrationality, like the irrational fear of like, you see one, you're like, ah, but then you're like, oh, wait, no, it's just a spider. It's like not a big deal, actually. And it's not scary. There's no reason to be afraid. And you tell yourself that. And after you do that enough times, it's like you've encountered it and you've overcome it. And you're not afraid. You're just like, so what? It's a spider. It's not a big deal. Like they're everywhere. Who cares?
Mm.
They're all right. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not bad. You know, and it requires you to study them. It requires you to get involved in their life so that you can realize that the fear is irrational. Or even if the fear is rational, like some spiders are poisonous, or sorry, not poisonous, venomous, and they can hurt you, right? It's like that's true. They can. That's why you don't necessarily handle them with your hands. But it doesn't mean you have to be so afraid of them that you break down emotionally and like punch people and like throw fits or run out of your house and you say, I can't sleep tonight because there's something in my room, you know, these types of intense reactions, right? So my point is, I get that you're afraid. I get that it's scary. I get that there are worries and that those are all legitimate. But none of those are, even though they're legitimate, are worth running from. if the alternative is running from health, running from joy, running from a better life,
Mm.
right? It's like you're gonna run from one thing or another. It's like if you're gonna run, you're gonna run from both, right? If you're gonna allow terror to control you, then you're also never gonna have the control to achieve joy,
Mm.
right? If you allow terror to control you, then your life is based on running from things and avoiding problems. But you don't solve problems by avoiding them, right? And you don't solve the problem of like how to have a healthier mind by running away from the fear that of the things that you'd have to change in your life to get a healthier mind,
Mm.
right? So it's like you got to take the medicine even if it's tastes bad, you know?
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, it tastes bad, but it's worth it. Like seriously. I get it, but it's true that it tastes bad. It's true. It's true that moving on your own and having rent and all that stuff is not great and comfortable, you know? Equally so. But it's like but it's going to be better that you do that than to try to run from what's scary all the time and just end up where you are, which is already scary to me. Like what you're talking like if you're in a position where you feel compelled to move out of your house out of like maybe a toxicity, or maybe it's not even toxicity, right? Maybe it's just like you feel like it's time, but
Mm.
you just can't make the leap, whatever it is, right? Um, I lost my mind. Okay, anyways, if you're in a position where that's the case, whether it's toxic or not, maybe it's just like, yeah, maybe it's just time. Maybe it's just time. You're like, it's time I move on, but I'm afraid to do so, right? It's it's still absolutely worth it to move forward because there's no reason to be afraid of moving forward because here's the thing, life is always changing.
Mhm.
But if you're moving forward, you have some control over that change. But if you're not moving forward, you have no control over that change. And life will just change however it changes and it's going to suck. Probably.
Mm.
Cuz you didn't put any effort into it. Right? You're just letting things be. And I don't mean to hound on you and say you're not putting an effort. I know that you're putting an effort. I just mean if you're too scared to make that leap of faith, then you're only ever going to be just a subject of fear,
Mm.
which is not someone who controls their life or makes themselves happy or is capable of doing the hard things in life that make other people happy. You know? So I'd say, who cares if it's hard? Who cares if you end up in bad finances? What is life worth? What's the point of just staying back if it's not great already? If you feel like it's time or whatever it is, right? I don't know. Um, I've made my points. I'm gonna give it over to Joe. He's got a lot of experience in this field, so go for it, man.
I have a lot of experience. I've moved to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
I've lived in a lot of
So have
different
I.
houses.
Jeez.
Yes. And
And I remember when I was 12 years old, I calculated how many times I have had to move in my life,
mm,
and it was 11 times.
that
And
was
I
when
was
you
like,
were
I'm
12.
12 years old, and I've moved 11 times. That's almost exactly one time every year.
Wow.
But one time it was actually like 5 times in 2 years. But
That's
yeah, it's
a lot of
crazy.
moving, man. Holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't move anywhere until I was 18. That was
Wow.
when I first moved for the first time, and I moved into a dorm. And yep, lived in a dorm for a year, and then moved into a house, and yeah, it was cool. But anyway, anonymous, Kawhi, based on what you're telling me, based on the things you're talking about in the chat, is this your topic?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah, he
see
said more like his time. Mm-hmm.
some of the things you're saying in the chat make me feel like this is your topic, and then yeah, it was a problem. Like you couldn't leave your name. All
Yes.
right,
Okay.
cool. So Kawhi, thank you for the topic. Thank you for being willing to share and everything. And I love what Ryan was talking about on this, and going right along with what he was getting to here, about fear running your life, about being subject to that. Um, you know, honestly, if I would almost recommend moving simply for the one reason that you feel afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes, like the fear, I learned this a long time ago that sometimes when we're afraid to do something, that's telling me what I need to do next.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel afraid to do some kind of a task or take some step in my life or whatever, if I feel afraid or if I feel like nervous or if I feel apprehensive about it, it's a really good indicator that that's the exact thing that I need to do next if I'm going to move forward. And so just simply for the fact that you feel fear about this tells me that maybe you ought to just do it just because it would be a fear conquering step.
I relate to that so much, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It's literally true. I mean, there's somebody said a long time ago, I think, do the thing you fear and the death of fear is certain. So if you're afraid to do something and you do it, then you no longer will be afraid of it. And it's one more area of fear in your life that you can, it builds you, it builds strength in you. And so then, like other things that you might have been afraid of, you have a track record in your mind of like, you know what, I was afraid of this thing. I faced that fear and I turned out okay. And I'm actually stronger and better for it. I should be able to face this fear and do that thing that I'm afraid of too. And it creates a momentum of conquering fear in your life, which is a really, really good thing to do. And, because it just makes you stronger and then you're not in bondage to the fear. Now, there are fears that are legitimate. Okay. So like if you were going to be doing this, but you said in your topic, your finances are good, you're in your upper mid 20s, and you feel like it's time, then yeah, man, I'd say go for it. Because sometimes we can jump the gun and maybe if your finances weren't in good shape and you did this, and then all of a sudden you end up in a really, really crummy situation where, you get foreclosed on or whatever, and like all this stuff can fall apart, and then you end up in a really, really tough situation, which I've experienced. I've experienced both. I've experienced, the adventure, the thrill of going and moving out on my own. I've also experienced the thrill of losing a house because our finances were bad and we jumped the gun on, moving into a certain place that we could afford at the time, but we didn't have long-term plan for it, and ended up, we ended up losing it. Now, sometimes things just happen. Sometimes you just lose a job or whatever, and there's nothing you can do about it. But like you can't foresee the future. So you can just basically do the best you can with the information you have. And, based on the information that I had, when we made the decision to move into that place, it was not the correct decision because we didn't have the finances to back it up long term. Right? I look at that in retrospect. It was an emotional decision that was made, and, it ended up crumbling apart, and that led to an incredible amount of stress, an incredible amount of, deteriorating self-esteem. Like there all kinds of things. Like when you jump the gun and do something and it's not time yet, Sometimes you can make it work. Sometimes, I mean, I've heard Ryan say, make the decision and make it the right decision. Sometimes hey, that can be great, great advice. But make sure you take into account all factors as you're analyzing the decision you're going to make. Now, I'm not saying get hung up on stuff, but don't lie to yourself and say, oh, there's no way we're going to be able to pay for this place. Let's get it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But, if all these things are in place, go for it. And if the one thing that's holding you back is just a fear, then go for it. You can get a decent mortgage, but that's a commitment. Yep, absolutely. A mortgage is a commitment. Now, a mortgage is a commitment until you can then sell. I mean, because you can get equity in the mortgage and then you can sell the house and then you can end up with a bigger down payment to put on a better house. I mean, people do that from time to time as well. So just because you get a 30-year mortgage on a place or a 20-year mortgage or 50 or whatever it is, just because you get a mortgage doesn't mean you're necessarily locked in for that entire amount of time, because what you can do, a handful of years down the road is you can sell the house, pay the mortgage off with what you get from the sale of the house, and then still have a chunk of money left over to put a down payment on another house or pay cash for a house. I've known people who have experienced that too. They put enough equity into a house, the housing market in their area went shooting up. They ended up selling their house at a major profit. And then the next house they got, they moved to an area where the housing market wasn't quite as good. It was lower priced. I mean, probably not as good. It was just like the houses were cheaper in that area. So they bought their house cash and had money left over. And that kind of stuff can happen. So, I mean, there's definitely stuff that you can do in housing, as far as upgrading and selling your house, getting a different one, getting a better one, all this kind of stuff. There's definitely ways to go. But the thing I really want to hammer home on this is the fear issue. Because the question I have to ask myself, anytime I'm afraid of doing something, I have to ask myself, what's the danger? Because most of the time, and the things that I'm afraid of, there's no danger. There's fear, but there's no danger. No real danger. Not anything that I can't handle, I mean, if there's danger, like my life's going to be at risk or my kids' lives are going to be at risk or anything like that, then that's a legitimate fear that I should take into account and avoid the situation that's going to put myself or my family or the people that I love in danger, right? I want to avoid that type of stuff. So those fears are legitimate. But if it's just a fear based on an apprehension because it's new experience or because it's like maybe I'm getting some feedback from people that are toxic, like Ryan was talking about, sometimes there are toxic people in our lives that can fill our head with negative information that can then generate fear within us. Or if we're afraid of what those people might think of us, that's another thing, because I also know people like that who have been held back by people that had influence in their lives, whether it was parents or relatives or whoever. They're like, hey, I decided to move somewhere. And then they got shamed into, feeling really, really horrible about the situation because they had controlling family members, right? I've seen this happen. So sometimes we need to break free from some of that stuff. And we have to ask ourselves, okay, what's the real danger? And then what's the benefit? The benefit of this, you're going to have your own space. You're going to get to set it up the way you want. You're going to have, it's going to be yours. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be like, I think, who was it? Was it Wolfric? No, Hero. Hero said, as a liver on my owner, as in one who lives on my own, not an organ on someone who owns me.
Oh, that makes, thank you. Yeah.
Few things beat the feeling of being able to take care of yourself, also seeing your place come together. Absolutely. I remember that feeling so well when I got my apartment in Traverse City, and I finally moved into that place, and I looked and I stood outside on the little patio thing, and I looked through the sliding glass door inside, and I saw all my furniture and all my stuff in there, and I was just like, that's my spot. And I looked in there, and I was just like, and it's my place. That was cool. I had the same feeling. I moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan. That was where I lived before I moved to Traverse City, and I had a rental house there, and same type of thing. You know, I'd just walk around the house that I lived in, and I lived by myself in the rental house. I had a job that paid me enough so I could afford to rent an entire house without roommates. And I remember walking around this house, and I was just like, man, I can afford this place. This is awesome. And, I had hand-me-down furniture or furniture that I got used or whatever. I didn't care. It was mine. Right? And it just, there's this feeling of accomplishment and a feeling of gratitude that comes with it, of like, man, thank you for this life that I have been able to achieve. Like the ability to do this is wonderful. And so the rewards far outweigh the fears in this situation, right? So I don't know, Kawhi, I got to tell you, I'm jealous of you.
Mhm.
I'd like to move. I'm in a position
Yeah.
where I can't move for a while. That's okay. But you know what? There's going to come a day when I can. And I look forward to that day. I look forward to being able to be like, okay, you know what? I like this area. I want to live in that area. I want to move to that area. It sounds like a good idea,
Mhm.
And so man, it's exciting. Here's the other thing to remember about fear. The bodily response to fear is the same bodily response as that of excitement. That tingle in the small of your back, that little bit, little tension, little adrenaline rush, it's a little bit intense, like you feel nervous, all this kind of stuff. It's the same feeling bodily. Fear and excitement are generally the same thing. It's just what we've attached that feeling to is what, that's why we name it either fear or excitement. It's either a positive or a negative, right?
Mhm.
So you can take that feeling, and if you start attaching all the positive benefits of this, possibility of moving out on your own and doing all this kind of stuff, then it can be an exciting time. It can be awesome. But that's the real trick then, is having the mental discipline to look at that, the good side of things. And it's hard because I've been stuck. I've been stuck in fear before. I've been stuck in depression before. I've been stuck in negative thought processes before, and it can be debilitating and really hard. And it can stop you from doing what you feel you need to do or feel you're supposed to do or what you're built to do, because we're afraid and we don't believe in ourselves. And, it can just be really, really tough. But the more you start thinking about the things that are good about this upcoming time, the adventure, the excitement, the feeling of being on your own, like what Hero was talking about, the feeling of, like, I can take care of myself. That feeling is great. That feeling of being able to make it on your own is great. Those things are priceless. So, man, I encourage you, go for it. Enjoy it. And understand, yeah, it's going to be scary. Yeah, there's going to be things you don't understand. Yeah, you're going to have to learn some stuff along the way. You're going to have a new area, and maybe, depending on how far you're moving, if you're just moving like across town or whatever, it's still really cool. If you're moving to a whole different area, now it's like I have a new area to explore, new people that I can meet, new communities to get involved in, new places to go out to eat, new places to go socialize, new stores to go shop at, a new environment. It's awesome. And so I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for being in that position in your mid to upper 20s where you're financially in a good enough spot to go live on your own.
Seriously.
I think that's awesome. And I say go for it. And the things that are holding you back, yeah, I understand. I understand there are things that hold us back. Pets, different attachments. Absolutely. It's okay. It's okay to not go immediately. But what I would do is definitely take some thought time and start thinking, okay, this is a real possibility and this could be really, really sweet. And start filling your brain with that. Start looking online at the different places you could live at. Start looking online at what's in that area around where you're going to be living. Start looking at that area and start living there in your mind and seeing how cool that can be. And before you know it, you'll be there and then you'll be like, oh yeah. And then it'll feel a little bit different than what you envisioned, but it'll still feel great. Oh my gosh. There's nothing like that feeling. So anyway, I don't know. That's what I got. I talked for a little while. Ryan, did you have anything else to weigh in on this situation?
I love what you were saying, and I think you're absolutely right. And yeah, sorry for denoting the concept of like wanting to get away from toxicity. It just tends to be like we're on Don't Worry Wednesday, and a lot of times that seems to be the case in a lot of people's families.
It's true.
I'm glad that that's not necessarily the case for you. If it's not, I'm so happy. And just like Joe was saying, I mean, I'm proud of you. Like that's so awesome. Like you got yourself, in your mid-20s, but you recognize like your finances are good enough to do this. Yeah,
not everybody can do that.
But to have gotten where you are, that's impressive, and I think that's super awesome. So way to go. And also, if you, I'm gonna share a little bit of my life, I guess. I think that'd be helpful. When I was in my mid-20s, actually early 20s, 21 or 22, I had the opportunity. Actually, Joe and I had just finished an album together. It was our first one, and it had a little bit of income. It wasn't insane, but it was something. And so my brother happened to get married at that time. And I remember he got married on 10/10/10. So that was October 10th in 2010. And we, at the end of that month, we just decided to pack up everything, quit our jobs, and move to a completely different state, like 16 hours away. And we did. We didn't have any jobs lined up. We didn't have a house lined up. We just went. My mom came with us. And we all kind of just drove in the car together and got there. And then we bought a room in a hotel for like a couple of nights. We looked around at all the different options in the town. We settled on one and went for it. And obviously that requires loans and mortgages and so on and so forth.
Well, it's good to have a little bit of savings if you're going to do something like that.
Yeah, and we had a little bit of savings. Yep, exactly. We had a little bit of savings and a little bit of help from my mom. And then, it was like we also, at the same time, immediately when we got there, were looking for jobs. So you're looking for a house, looking for a job. And then guess what? We got them. My My brother and his wife both got a job in different fields, and ended up in the same field. And then I got promised multiple jobs, which was interesting because in the end they didn't work out. But I was happy with that because it gave me time to pursue my career because I had savings and I had saved enough that I could not have a job for like I think it was like 3 months.
Mm.
I didn't need a job. And so for those 3 months, I committed myself to YouTube. I committed myself to writing songs. And I was working on it really hard, like 30 hours a day, and then going to sleep
30
for
hours a
like
day.
10, 14 hours, and then waking up. And yeah,
So
and
wait,
it was
30
great.
hours a day and 10
It
hours of
wasn't exactly
sleep.
30.
So you had 40-hour days?
Yeah, there you go. 40-hour days. 40-hour days. Um, I had less days than most people, but my days are
Yeah,
40
but your
hours
days were
long.
longer.
So,
That's
yeah.
quite an accomplishment.
hmm Yeah, and it was so awesome to get out there into that new area and like we looked for like, we visited several different churches to figure out which one we wanted to be at. And we got to go to the local grocery stores and find which ones we liked the most. We got to, just experience something very different and new. And the like just different people and the way that they spoke and all sorts of different stuff. And it was awesome. And then when it came time I needed a job, I got one and it wasn't a big deal. And my point is, as scary as it is, it was a lot of fun. And it was not something I'd ever take back. And it wasn't that scary because it's like, we can do it. We can do it. And we did. And then I'll tell you, eventually we moved back to Michigan. And then recently, um, uh, my girlfriend, so they took down the COVID laws on flight travel for America.
Mm.
And so my girlfriend at the time came from Australia and flew into Michigan, like literally the, like, made the flight the day it happened. And she flew out 2 weeks after. She was going to fly out like in 3, 4 days, but the problem is, she has family back at home and she wanted to make them aware that she was flying out.
Uh,
So she gave it 2 weeks. And then she flew out and then she met with me. And then she stayed in America for 3 months and lived with me and my family. And then when that got over, we just made an on the fly decision, basically, in a couple of, like, it was just like literally a matter of days. We looked at it and said, well, what are we going to do now? Time's up here. And it was like, we looked at the finances. We said, we can do this. And I flew back with her to Australia. And so we've been together now for 6 months. My time in Australia just expired a couple days ago, but I was able to get a bridging visa because we applied for the paperwork and we got married and we got all that stuff figured out in a very, not a whole lot of give with the time, but we got it, right? It was like a matter of days. Um, I think I had like 2 or 3 days left once they finally accepted my visa and so on and so forth for just a bridging card. And now I'm going through this whole process of legals and stuff like that, but now we're married. And it's like all this happened in the matter of like just like months, right? And it's just, some of it was just a matter of days, like just making a decision on, like, just looking at what we had and be like, can we make this decision? Yes. Is it scary? Sure, but at the same time, it's going to be worth it. There's no doubt in my mind that it won't be worth it. It will be worth it, even if it's a little wild and scary to just go off on a limb and do stuff, right? No, we didn't get married a few days ago. We got married months ago. Oh, we got married October 2nd. So I guess that was a month ago.
almost 2 months
Um
ago.
Almost 2 months ago, yeah. But then the paperwork for the marriage certificate and then applying for the partnership visa so that I can ultimately have dual citizenship in Australia, that process took basically 2 months.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah. So anyways, my point is, we are so happy. We are so happy. And we wouldn't be here together. We wouldn't be married. We wouldn't be together if it wasn't for just doing it. You have to just go like, say it's worth it. Who cares the who cares what the details are that are negative?
Mm-hmm.
It is worth it. And then you do it. And for me, in my case, it was like it was a human being and it was my life with that person. So it was like, yeah, that's absolutely going to be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the negative details come along the way, whatever the hardships come, it's like, this is my home.
Mm.
And it's like, I'm going to do what I need to do to make things happen. And luckily, it wasn't that scary for me because of my financial situation, and I've been blessed with loving family and people who have been helping out, and so I'm very thankful. And I couldn't do it without them, without their support. But it's just like, even with that being the case, it is scary. I mean, to just be like, okay, let's pack up and move to Australia on like a whim and just hope it works out, right? Because if it doesn't, well, okay, well, what do I do? Stuck. I'm gonna get kicked out of this house and be on my own, and whatever. Like, it could go bad, but it's like, you got to do what you got to do because you believe it's worth it, and yeah, 1,000% worth it. So,
some might say
I'd say
10,000
that's 10,000%
worth it.
worth it. And so, yeah, I'd say that's kind of like the best encouragement I can give you is my own life experiences with just being willing to move on, even though it's completely different, even on a whim, even on a short notice. If you, like Joe said, be smart, look at what you got, and we did. We look at what it's like, okay, can we do this? And it's like, okay, this is our finances right now. We can keep this up for this time, and then by then we have to have something else figured out, and we can do that. And we'll work on that. And everything has time constraints. Everything is like, if we don't do it perfectly, we might end up in a bad scenario, but we'll figure it out if we do, and it's kind of like that. And it's just like life again. And I've said this before on many streams, but life isn't about security. We weren't put here for security.
It's true.
We weren't. It's like, otherwise we'd have it. It'd be obvious.
Yeah, it's interesting because we crave security. We crave that safety net. We crave all that kind of stuff. But what's maximum security is prison.
That's right. Oh my God. What a statement. Yeah, no, and that's true. That's true. I mean, when you're at your most comfortable and secure, your potential to do good is at its least a lot of times. It's like there are plenty of rich people who are not even happily, whatever, but there are plenty of rich people who do not have to worry about finances. They don't have to worry about security. They don't have to worry about people breaking in. They've got all kinds of guards and all whatever, It's like they've got their security figured out. But it's like, how good are they? And sometimes it appears that the more secure people are, the less good they are. But that's not the case. People are good regardless of security is the point. Your security is not a determining factor of how good and wonderful your life can be.
Right. Well, and the thing about security is a lot of time it's false.
Yeah.
A lot of time it's false security. Most of the time when people are thinking security, they're thinking like job security, but that can be gone with one boss change.
Oh yeah.
Seen that happen?
Oh yeah, or like some equipment fails and it's like you're out for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And it's like, really? And you don't get to make income for those couple of weeks? It's like, sorry, mate.
Yep. So security is, in a lot of cases, it's kind of a myth. We can do things to secure ourselves, right? But even still, there's no telling what's just around the corner. No telling. You might be one step away from, I don't know. I remember this is going to be morbid, but I remember I just experienced this. I went up and visited my brother, right? You guys, a couple weeks ago, we did the stream, and I was up at my brother's house, and there's a lot of logging trucks up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so these like big, huge trees on trucks, and they're strapped down, on the backs of these trucks and everything, and they got these big, huge straps with these big buckles and everything on there, right? Well, I remember a story. This was years ago that this happened up there where my brother lives, where all these logging trucks are. A guy was passing a logging truck, because they drive a little bit slower. And so it's like, I want to get past this guy. And so he was passing the logging truck. One of those big buckles failed on one of those straps, came off, went through the guy's windshield and into his face and killed him. Like, that's luck, right?
That is some hard luck right there.
That's such, like, the timing and freak accident, like crazy freak accident, right? Freakish, crazy stuff happens all the time, and we never know what's going to happen. We never know. So we could be afraid of all those things, or we could live our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point, because after hearing something like that, you're like, well, I should just stay safe and like never go out driving, and I should just because otherwise then I'll die. And it's like, that's not true. Because even no matter how safe you think you are, something bad could happen.
Yep.
Right? It's like,
yep.
Yeah, like a house fire. It's like, what are you gonna do? What did you say happens? And so it's not about.
So what does that say? Don't buy a house because it might catch on fire?
Yeah, right.
No.
It's not about being so aware of all the dangers that you know how to avoid them all. It's about living your life regardless of what could happen, because you can figure it out. Or if you can't figure it out, maybe you die. But it doesn't matter, because at least you lived a life. That you feel is worth living, rather than having regrets of never living it fully.
Right. I think it was, in the movie,
too afraid to live.
There's an old movie called Braveheart. I remember it, and I think there's a quote in that movie. It's like, every man dies, but not every man truly lives.
Yeah.
Right. And it's true, right? And so, like, that's the thing. Like, if you're gonna live your life, go for it, man. Go for the adventure. Go for the, that enjoyment. And yeah, you're not making an off the wall decision here. You're in good shape to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I love that, man. I mean, it's great, because sometimes you make a decision and it falls apart. That's okay. You figure it out, just like Ryan was talking about. You figure it out, and I'm so thankful that he and his wife have, they're together in this. It's like, hey, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna be together in it.
Yeah.
Good or bad, whatever happens, it looks like it's gonna be just fine, But if something bad happens, we're in it together. That's huge, hugely important.
That's beautiful, huge.
So, I don't know. Kawhi, you're awesome, and I'm proud of you. Like I said before, I'm proud of you for, you've set yourself up in a position to do this. Man, that's great. That is awesome, and I would highly encourage you to do it and look at it like an adventure and have fun and enjoy it and set up your life the way you want and make it yours. Because that's the gift you've been given with this gift of existing, right? Like, you get to make that choice. You get to experience the things on your terms and the way you like them and the way you want them. And we have these choices, and it's great, right? We're all presented with choices like that. Some of us, I mean, they're not the same, but we all get the choice.
No, they're not. We all have different choices in our lives to make, even identical twins.
Yep.
Very different choices.
But foundational choice is a choice between fear or adventure?
Yeah.
Fear or
And
living?
harkening back to what you said earlier, it's so many times when I'm in a situation and I'm just like, I don't want to do that. It like something like a switch gets flicked in my mind and I'm like, that's exactly the thing I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because I just said I didn't want to do it out of a sense of like fear or out of a sense of selfishness that does not line up with the goodness in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, that's the thing I need to do right now.
Mm-hmm. But
You
I
know,
don't want to do that. I'm scared to do it. I don't want to
yeah.
do it. And your head is like screaming at you, right? It's like I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to. I don't want to. Oh man, no.
Yeah.
But it's like oh, that's the thing I need to do, right? And
Mhm.
then when you do take the step, because I've not taken those steps before and like muddied around for a while and all this kind of stuff, and it was like, you know, and given into the fear for a while, but then like you're stuck there. And so then you
Mm-hmm.
finally get around to the thing where it's like, okay, finally, then you face, yep, that's the thing I should have done a month ago. Finally, I'm doing it, right? So like,
Yeah.
look at all the love for cats. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Love,
Yeah,
love.
well, we should probably um
You're back
close it
just in
down
time for
soon. We
us to
got
end.
yeah.
We're ending Don't Worry
Thanks.
Wednesday
That's right. You
until
you can
next
now feel free
Wednesday.
to resume worrying. Um
Well,
no. You're not allowed.
I'm glad you were listening. We had some profound, amazing things to say. I was going to say, if you weren't listening to that, you missed it. Holy cow.
Game over. I mean,
Game.
honestly.
Yep. And this is one that we're not going to have on YouTube for you to re listen to. Just kidding. It'll
Yeah.
still be there. Oh, I want a box hug.
You'll make plans? Awesome. Quite. You know, honestly, it's like it inspires me. It inspires me when I see people make changes that are difficult
Mm-hmm.
because that is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you confront it and you're like, it is not easy. And you say, no, 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 no. And then you decide, you know what? I'm going to do it now. I mean, that's huge. That's even more big because, like, the longer you sit with the fear, the harder it is to move forward. And so it's just like, proud of you. I really am proud of you. And I think that you're amazing. And you are totally strong enough and capable of like as a person to be to do this and to be happy with your choice and to make it work. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So yeah, way to go. Proud of you. You're awesome.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for the topic. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that what we had to say was helpful for you. And yeah, feel free. You guys, thank you so much for being here. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover, go ahead and go to don'tworrywednesday.com, click the submit a topic button, and fill out the form that hopefully works. And we'll do your topic. We'll be looking at
That's right.
that and making sure that it's working properly. And if it's not working properly, we'll get it fixed. But yeah, enjoy your week, you guys. We love you so much, and we're so glad to share this time with you guys on Wednesdays. And it's just so awesome to hang out with you guys. And thank you so
Mhm.
much for your topics and your willingness to share parts of your life with us, because that really truly is such a great honor that
Yeah, it is.
you guys are willing to do that. It's like, hey, whatever you're living through, and you're willing to share it, and we can talk about it. And man,
Yeah.
I'm blown away, when I think about that, and I'm so thankful for you guys. So,
Yeah, you guys allow us to be a part of your life and
mhm.
in not just a tiny way, but in something deep. And it's just yeah, and it's such an honor. I don't it's a weird feeling because it's like inside I don't know how to feel about that. All I know is it feels really like I don't deserve that,
Mhm.
but I'm so grateful and honored and yeah, all I want to do is give you guys love
Mhm.
back.
And anger.
Yeah. A little bit of anger, angry love.
You guys let me be
sometimes.
angry at you sometimes.
That's right.
I'm not
I
ever
don't think you've been
angry at
angry at
you.
them
I'm not
ever.
angry at you. I'm angry at situations sometimes.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen you be angry at them
Nope.
or
I've
a
never.
person,
Nope. Nope.
really.
Nope. I'm usually angry at the thing somebody does.
Yeah.
you know. But anyway,
Yeah.
so thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you next week. Right
Mm-hmm.
here. Oh wait, at least I will.
Oh yeah. This next week I will not be here.
Yeah.
Um, so
So
either
mark it on your calendars, guys. It's gonna be Community Don't Worry Wednesday next Wednesday. Free up your night, and we'll all jump on a Discord call. But you'll have to be with me instead of Ryan.
that's okay.
Sorry,
You
that's the
guys can be
caveat.
Ryans, I guess.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So, but yes, thank you guys so much for being here, and come back next week, and we'll see you then. Until then, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful life, and we will talk to you soon. Feel free to Discord us if you've got an issue, and again, go to don'tworrywednesday.com and submit a topic. We'd love to hear from you. So, take care. We love you guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Love you guys. Peace.